What is up, guys? Randomonium here. I'm going to be watching G2 versus CLG. I have not watched this match yet. I'm going to be watching it at 1.5 times speed. And I'm really excited for this match because it's the first match of Worlds, and I'm actually expecting an upset straight out of the gate. I do think that CLG is going to win this first match. Even though I do think that G2 has a better team, I think that CLG's got something up their sleeve that they're going to pull out and wind up upsetting G2. So G2, their bans are Aurelion Sol, makes sense. Hui kind of pulled that out a little while ago, and Aurelion Sol's been very strong, especially in Korea. Rek'Sai, a little bit weird because Rek'Sai got nerfed recently. She's not as dominant as she used to be. And then Karma makes perfect sense, trying to ban out Aphromoo. And yeah, the Nidalee makes complete sense for CLG for their bans because I actually assumed that they were going to try and pick Nidalee for Trick to get on that carry kind of jungler, so that's a fantastic ban. And then Sivir Soraka, that makes perfect sense, trying to target ban Sven and Mithy a little bit and get them all onto a different champion. So it looks like G2 is going for Elise as their first pick, which definitely makes sense because they want Trick on those kind of carry junglers. They want him to take over the game. So I would expect Trick to be on a carry jungler, and I would expect Perks to be on a mid that can roam and kind of set up plays around the map and things like that, and maybe even like do like a 4-man or a 5-man dive bot lane to try and kind of snowball the game in their favor. And then I would expect Sven and Mithy, or expect Mithy to be on a tank, and I'd expect I actually expect to be on a tank, but it looks like they're going to go expect in top lane with Jace. That's a very odd pick, and they're going to have Perks on Syndra in the mid lane. On the CLG side, I definitely like the Caitlyn. Stixxay has looked fantastic on Caitlyn in the past, and it's a great champion for him to kind of control zones and kind of just set up that siege comp. And Nami is great for disengage. Looks like Hui is going to be on Vladimir, and then Darshan they're putting on Poppy. That's really interesting. I would have not expected that. I would have expected Darshan on Echo maybe or Gnar, but a Poppy into Jace is a very strange pick, actually. So I'm curious to see how that works out. I know Poppy got buffed recently, but she's definitely been out of the meta for a while now. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Sven's picking up Jhin. That makes perfect sense. Jin's one of the... Actually, I was kind of thinking that they would probably go Ezreal over Sven, but Jhin is probably the second best AD carry in the current meta. And yeah, Mithy on Braum, that's exactly what I expected. And the Braum Jhin lane is really, really powerful. So looks like last pick is going to be their jungler. Unless they're going to do a Poppy jungle, which would be very interesting. So I'm curious what their last pick is going to be. Oh. Oh my goodness. They picked the Olaf. Wow. That's a very interesting last pick. That's a really that completely changes the team comp. Wow. So they've got Poppy and Vladimir and Olaf all charging forward. And they've got the Nami for disengage or potentially even engage with her ult. And then Caitlyn for poke. That's really fascinating. That actually is a really strong comp. They actually kind of pivoted. So CLG initially picked up the Caitlyn and the Nami, and it looks like they were going for more of a siege comp, things like that. And then G2 picked up the Jace, and they picked up the Syndra and the Jhin, kind of more of a poke comp. So then CLG responded, they completely pivoted, and they went to a very strong engage comp with the Olaf and the Vladimir. So, that's really interesting. I think that CLG definitely won the um, the draft phase. So I'm very curious to see what will happen as this game continues. All right, so we're on the Rift. Standard lanes. Don't expect any lane swaps. A little bit of an invade. I don't expect them to invade too much though. As far as the lane matchups are concerned, Poppy versus Jace, it seems like it would favor the Jace. The Jace is able to disengage with his hammer form, and he's able to poke out the Poppy pretty decently. Vladimir versus Syndra. Syndra should have an advantage early, but once the Vladimir gets enough sustain, it'll be very difficult to knock him down. And then in bot lane with the Jhin and the Braum, that's an incredibly strong lane. There's very few lanes that are as good as that lane. It'll really depend on Aphromu's ability to harass the Braum, because Braum is a melee champion. So it'll be very curious to see how they wind up playing this. Looks like CLG is going for the early push, trying to get that early level 2. And I have no idea why my stream is freezing so much. Might need to reduce the quality a little bit. Oh, and we've got a pause. Very interesting. Okay. Here, I'm going to turn this up and see if we can figure out what the pause was from. Oh man, what a tease. So one of the best parts about Xmithy that I think that the casters didn't bring up is the fact that he's very good at countering or neutralizing the enemy team's jungler. He's not going to be the guy who carries his team necessarily, but he will be the guy who prevents the enemy jungler from carrying their team, which is really important for G2 because Trick is arguably their best player on their team. So Xmithy is kind of like the perfect counter to somebody like Trick. And we've seen this multiple times where Xmithy just completely neutralizes the enemy jungler and basically makes it a 4v4. I gotta assume that it's a communication thing, a headphones thing. because they were checking Afromoose headphones. So we'll see what they haven't talked about it yet.
Definitely true. Bottom lane for CLG, the one pushing up, they have to be a little bit more careful. Top lane is starting to actually push away from expect as well. And here we go, we are back into the game, and this time around, hasn't been paused again, so we might just be back into the action here. As Counterlogic Gaming once again is taking on G2 Esports North America versus Europe. Smithy actually passing back down to the bottom of his jungle. It is a very curious path.
Yeah, that's not a very effective jungle pathing. It seems like he is trying to neutralize Trick as much as possible. Here, I'll turn this down a little bit. It looks like they're trying to set up a dive in top lane. Elise is probably one of the best junglers to tower dive early. Yep. Yeah, that was a very easy setup. And actually, I put that on Xmithy because he initially was pathing up to top lane, and then he had this very inefficient move where he goes back towards bot lane. If he just trusted his gut and went top lane, he would have been there to counter gank and possibly, get a 1-for-1. Yeah, this is too late. So far, nothing too outrageous has happened. As I expected, Jace is going to be pushing in the Poppy. Caitlyn does have more pushing power than Jhin, but I don't know if it's necessarily the best idea to just be constantly pushing into the Jhin Braum, because they can turn pretty fast if Elise decides to come bot lane. Expect's out of mana. Yeah, there we go. That's a good in right there. So Darshan realized that Expect was out of mana, so he instantaneously went aggressive on him, which was a very, very smart play. I'm not sure if Elise walked over a ward or if he just did that blind. Oh, there we go. There's a stun. Good bubble. Xmithy's Olaf has not been very effective so far. I mean, he has a slight advantage on CS and level. It seems like their whole game plan is they're just going to be using Xmithy just to neutralize Trick as much as possible. Just keep an eye on Trick. Just track him as much as possible. You can see the pink wards that SteelG has set up. You can see that they've got this pink ward that's over by their red buff. That's the kind of spot Elise coming around the backside. They've got multiple pink wards around Dragon to spot Elise roaming down into bot lane. So, yep, great job. Flash in, okay. Wow. That was a fantastic play. That was a fantastic play. But they might lose top lane because of it. Oh no, he's teleporting? Why is he teleporting? I don't agree with that teleport at all. He should have just pushed that lane, and he might have been able to trade the towers. because now you give up the teleport advantage, right? So if G2 had not burned that teleport, then they trade the towers, and then they set up for another play with teleport advantage. So they could set up a play for Dragon or something like that. By burning the teleport, you're being reactive rather than proactive on the map, which is it's just going to allow CLG to get further ahead. So I definitely think that was a misplay by Expect. Very interesting that G2 has been playing around the top lane and CLG has been playing around the bot lane. I would have expected that G2 would be playing around the bot lane. Wow. I don't think they're going to get the tower. I don't think they're going to get it. I think they'll have to break off. They might be able to get a dragon off of it. Really? Wow, they're really pushing hard for that. Wow. That was a very risky play. I don't think a lot of people realize how risky that play was. But CLG is taking this game uh, by the horns. That's really impressive. That was a huge risk they took, and it paid off. They got the first gold. They got a kill. Actually, they got 2 kills, and they got the dragon too. They're probably gonna lose that tower though. Maybe Olaf can hold it. That was actually a great ward by Darshan. He got a ward. He knew that Elise was just bot lane, so he went in and warded the blue side jungle. That's really going to keep him safe, especially with that pink ward. Wow, this is absolutely fascinating. CLG is just completely running around the map. Their macro play is just far superior than G2 right now. I think the G2 really underestimated them, which is what I thought was going to happen in this first match. Because I mean, 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, I think G2 is a better team. But the real question was 5-on-5 with the shot calling, with the macro play. Could CLG, make up that difference? Wow, 1-for-1. Might get another one. 2-for-1. Yep. And they're going to trade one tower for one tower. Wow, this is amazing. Yeah, and it's shocking that they put all their eggs in the Olaf basket. That picking someone like Olaf, you need that guy to get fed. And Xmithy is normally not a carry jungler. He's normally a utility jungler, a tank jungler, that guy who neutralizes the enemy jungler. But they've put him in this carry role, which is just very fascinating. So that might be the audible that they called. That might be the I knew that CLG was going to have something that they were going to do that's just going to be completely off the wall. I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a particular pick or a particular comp, but it looks like they've been working very hard in putting Xmithy into a carry position and having him, step up as another threat for the team when a lot of people really underestimate him. This is very smart by CLG. They're moving their bot lane up to top lane, try to knock down the last outer tower to try and extend that gold lead. And it's going to be very hard for Jace to try and answer on the opposite side of the map, to try and take the bot tower, especially in a long lane where both the bot outer and the bot inner towers are down. You can see that the Poppy is just chasing him down. Vladimir's rotating down. Yep, smart. Very smart flash there. You can see the G2s rotating up the top lane. They realize that their the Zen and Mithy are vulnerable to a dive right now. That's actually a really good pink ward in that tri-brush. Elise is hovering, but it looks like they're just going to give up the tower, maybe. Yep, they're going to 5-man the tower now. Wow. They're in complete control of this game. They've already got a 4K gold lead. And we're not even 20 minutes into the game. Barring a complete throw, CLG is going to win this game. This is actually very surprising. I expected CLG to be behind for most of the game, and then they would pull out an upset in the later half of the game using their team fighting. But this macro play that CLG has shown in the early game is absolutely fantastic. It's very surprising. It's very refreshing. And CLG looks like the CLG of MSI, which is a very scary thing for G2 and for Rox Tigers. Actually, I don't think that CLG even in this form would be able to beat Rox Tigers, but they definitely will probably have a pretty close game if they continue to play this well. Jin's out of position, so he pops Yomu's. A little bit too soon. Flash Cocoon misses. Ooh. Good teleport. I don't think they can take it. Yeah, they can't get anything off of this. They need to reset. Push the lanes out. Drake isn't for a while, so there's not much they can do right now. They've got Baron vision control. They really can't take it unless they get a couple picks. They just want to keep control of the waves, keep their vision pushed forward, and just kind of stranglehold G2. So the other thing is that the way that the game is set up right now is that they can really force Trick out of his own jungle, and they can really start to starve him of resources, and which will effectively make the game a 5v4, which is kind of, I would say, this is probably their easiest win condition. They just starve out Trick for long enough, he'll become really ineffective. You can see he's already a level down on Xmithy, and he's 2 level. Well, actually, he just turned level 12, so he's not that far down. He's actually staying pretty relevant right now. But the goal is for Xmithy to get multiple levels ahead of Trick, and then you've essentially just won the game because your jungler is just so much more powerful than theirs. I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like that rotation from Darshan. He's giving up pressure on bot lane right now. Yeah, and G2 is going to get that tower because of that. That was a mistake. They're just a little bit too eager on that. So if you're G2, you need to stall out this game. You need to keep as much vision as possible. And yeah, you need to make sure they don't get Baron, that's for sure. Oh, wow. This is a little bit greedy because they're losing their towers because of this, so they've lost 2 towers because of that. That's an expensive Baron, actually. I mean, you get 1,500 gold for securing the Baron, and then you wind up losing, about 1,000 gold from the tower take. So it's worth. I mean, it's worth to get the Baron, but I mean, it could have been a cleaner execution. I feel like Dragon's up in 15 seconds, so that's the next objective they want to go to, and then they want to start trying to. I think their next goal is they need to start sieging mid inner, push up mid, try to siege mid inner, and then rotate maybe the top lane to try and take top inner tower. So that's very smart by Huhi. He pushes in bot lane. That's going to draw Jin down to the bot lane. But unfortunately, they didn't set up the wave pushing mid. Um, so that's going to allow Jin to rotate back up to mid lane. Yeah, now they need to start trying to dive. They need to threaten the dive, push them off the tower so they can get that mid tower. Okay, now they should be rotating to top lane, or they should go back to dragon. Either one or the other. This is an interesting play. I feel like this is a little bit wasteful right now. Okay, now they're finally rotating up the top lane. Okay, that's okay. Finally, they're doing that. They should be able to get this tower. Hmm. Yeah, that Jace empowered Q is going to make things very difficult. But Stixay thankfully has lifesteal. Yeah, they should be able to get it. Alright, so now they back off. They should back, reset, and then I would assume that they're going to go for Dragon next. That's the next objective that they want to try and secure. For G2, I mean, right now, the only way that they can win is CLG making a mistake. If CLG executes cleanly, I don't think that there's any way the G2 can come back in this game. They've got to wait for CLG to make a mistake, get out of position, rely on their vision, maybe get a pick. If they can get a pick onto Stixay, then they might be able to get back some of that gold by rushing down mid lane. There's a lot of gold in mid lane that they can recover that'll allow them to get back into this game. Yeah, you can see how hard this is. This is what good teams do. So they caught Smithy. That's exactly what they needed. But he had a GA. Yeah, they're forcing this way too much. Way too much. Yep. That was almost a really, really bad situation for CLG. So yeah, G2's showing that they know how to come back in games like this right now. So when you're watching these games, the way you can try and figure out like what the next best play is and things like that is you want to be looking at the mini map. Like all the action is occurring, on the big screen, but really what you want to be looking at is the mini map. It's kind of unfortunate they make the mini map so small, but that'll really show you the macro side of things. You can see where the vision's put down. You can see where the wave positions are. That's especially important. Um, and really, it's whatever's the easiest objective to take. That's usually the objective they go to. So now CLG is going to start trying to play around Baron. They're going to try and deny as much vision as possible. You can see that pink ward, perfect. So they're going to try and deny as much vision as possible while Darshan split pushes, though he doesn't have TP, so that's a little bit risky. Expect has TP, Darshan does not, so they kind of have to wait a little bit or look for a pick. They get Mithy. Okay. This is risky. Wow. They really forced that. TP's coming down for Jace. G2 might be able to make a play on Baron because CLG is just so low. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's the game. Wow, CLG was so low and they were still able to win that. Oh my god. That was an absolute stomp. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. That is so impressive. I'm very happy because I predicted that CLG was going to win this match. But I did not think that CLG was going to win in this convincing of a fashion. So, wow, this completely changes things. Wow, wow, wow. I don't know what to say. CLG seriously might crush the dreams of EU if they continue to play this way. G2's in a really tough spot now because they have to win the next match against CLG if they're going to want to have a shot at the second place spot. They have to win the next game. Now they're in the back seat, so it's going to be really interesting to see how G2 comes back from this. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you like these videos, if you want to see me watch more of the games at Worlds and kind of give you my thoughts as I'm watching them for the first time, please like this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please let me know what your feedback is. I will happily do more of these videos if you guys enjoy them. If you don't enjoy them, then I won't do any more and I'll just watch them without casting them. So it's up to you guys. Let me know what you guys like. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you guys enjoy the World's coverage. But this is Randomonium signing off.